First contact and fatal mistake. The Vanguard ship pierced Earth's atmosphere like a phantom, its quantum stealth systems rendering it invisible to both human technology and organic sight. Commander Zaruk stood at the bridge, his crystalline eyes fixed on the sprawling metropolis below. Seattle's lights twinkled through the rain, oblivious to the predators above. Scan complete, Commander. First Hunter Krotol reported, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The artifact's energy signature matches. It's here, integrated into their primitive power grid. Zaruk's facial plates shifted in what passed for a smile among the Vanguard. After 3 centuries of searching, they'd finally traced the ancestral core to this backwater world. The humans had no idea they'd built their city around one of the most powerful relics in the galaxy. Analysis of the integration point, he asked, moving closer to examine the scan results. The signature centers on a research facility. Quantum Dynamics Laboratory, Krotol answered. A human female, Dr. Sarah Chen, leads their research team. They believe they're studying a new form of energy production. Zaruk checked his ceremonial blade, the ancient weapon humming with stored energy. Prepare the strike team. We'll extract the core and eliminate any witnesses. Standard protocol. The strike team deployed under cover of night, their advanced armor adapting to match the surrounding darkness. They moved like liquid shadow through the rain-slicked streets, their target the modest laboratory complex on the outskirts of the city. Inside, Dr. Sarah Chen worked late, as usual. Her daughter Emma slept on the break-room couch, homework scattered across the floor. At 9 years old, Emma had grown used to spending evenings in the lab while her mother chased breakthrough after breakthrough. Sarah studied the readings from their mysterious power source for the 1000th time. The crystalline structure they discovered buried beneath the foundation defied every known law of physics. It produced clean, nearly unlimited energy, but something about it troubled her. The output pattern seemed almost intelligent. The first warning came as a subtle shift in air pressure. Sarah looked up from her workstation, ears popping. The emergency lights flickered and died. Security breach in Sector 7. The automated system announced calmly. Unknown entities detected. Sarah's blood ran cold. She rushed to the break room, scooping up her sleeping daughter. Emma stirred but didn't wake as Sarah carried her toward the emergency exit. They made it 3 steps into the hallway before meeting the strike team. Zaruk studied the human female through his tactical display. Her vital signs spiked with fear, but she positioned herself between the strike team and the child with remarkable instinct. The core, he said simply, his translator rendering the words in English. Where is it? Sarah's mind raced. The crystal. They were here for the crystal. I don't know what you're talking about, she said, backing away slowly. Please, my daughter has nothing to do with this. Your species never does, Zaruk replied. You stumble upon powers beyond your comprehension, build your primitive technologies around them, then deny all knowledge when the rightful owners return. He raised his weapon. Last chance. The core's location. Mom. Emma had awakened, her eyes wide as she took in the alien figures. What happened next would be debated in Vanguard war councils for years to come. Sarah Chen, faced with hostile aliens threatening her child, did something unprecedented. She reached for the emergency shutdown trigger she wore around her neck and squeezed. The crystal in the basement responded instantly, but instead of powering down its surge, energy readings went off the charts. The very air began to hum. Zaruk's tactical display screamed warnings seconds before the first Guardian emerged from what appeared to be thin air. The beam stood 3 meters tall, its form composed of shifting darkness and points of light like captured stars. Where its face should be, there was only a suggestion of features and 2 burning eyes. Protocol breach, it spoke, its voice resonating on frequencies that made the Vanguard's weapon systems crash. Human under protection. Initiating response. More Guardians materialized throughout the facility. The Vanguard strike team opened fire, their energy weapons passing harmlessly through the manifestations. Impossible. Zarek breathed. The Watchers. They're supposed to be extinct. The guardian nearest to Sarah and Emma extended its starlit hand, creating a barrier of pure force around them. With its charges protected, it turned its burning gaze on the Vanguard. More Guardians materialized throughout the facility. The Vanguard strike team opened fire, their energy weapons passing harmlessly through the manifestations. Impossible, Zarek breathed. The Watchers. They're supposed to be extinct. The guardian nearest to Sarah and Emma extended its starlit hand, creating a barrier of pure force around them. With its charges protected, it turned its burning gaze on the Vanguard. Your kind was warned. It stated, Earth is protected. The humans are protected. You have broken the ancient covenant. Krital managed one transmission to the ship before the Guardians descended on them. Abort mission. The humans have Watchers. The humans are ward. The signal cut off. When Seattle's power grid came back online 10 minutes later, there was no sign of the Vanguard strike team. The laboratory showed no evidence of damage or intrusion. Sarah Chen and her daughter were found safely in the break room, with Sarah convinced she'd dozed off over her work. But in the basement, the crystal pulsed with renewed purpose. And in high orbit, the Watcher's message propagated across Vanguard communication channels. Let it be known, humanity does not stand alone. They are not your prey. They are our legacy. And we have awakened. The Guardian's wrath. The Vanguard High Command Station hung like a crystalline spider in the void between stars. Within its central chamber, Fleet Admiral Senfor watched the replay of Krital's final transmission for the 100th time. The image of the Watcher, composed of darkness and starlight, sent shivers through his reinforced exoskeleton. Impossible, he muttered, echoing Zarek's last words. We hunted the Watchers to extinction during the Great Purge. Their interference in species development violated natural law. His second-in-command, Strategic Director Velena, stepped forward. The evidence is irrefutable, Admiral. The energy signatures match ancient records. Somehow, the Watchers survived. And they've claimed humanity as their ward. After 12,000 years of silence, Senfor's facial plates clicked in agitation. Why reveal themselves now? And why protect such a primitive species? The answer came in the form of system-wide alerts. Across the galaxy, Vanguard outposts began going dark. Not through violence or destruction. They simply ceased to exist, as if they'd never been built. Quantum scans showed only empty space where mighty fortresses had stood for centuries. On Earth, Sarah Chen was beginning to remember. The memories came in dreams at first. Tall figures of starlight, a sense of ancient protection. Words spoken in frequencies that made reality shiver. She found herself making connections in her research that seemed impossible, understanding principles of physics that felt more like remembering than learning. Emma noticed the changes in her mother. Mom, you're different since that night in the lab, she said over breakfast. You hum songs I've never heard before, but they feel familiar. Sarah looked at her daughter, seeing for the first time the subtle glow beneath her skin, the way shadows seemed to reach for her protectively. I think we're both different, sweetheart, and I think it's time we found out why. In high orbit, the Watcher known as First Guardian observed the awakening with satisfaction. Humanity had been seeded with Watcher essence eons ago, their DNA carefully modified to serve as vessels for something greater. Now, as the Vanguard threat triggered ancestral defenses, that hidden potential was finally emerging. The Vanguard discovered this transformation too late. Their attempt to capture a human for study, a Seattle dockworker named Michael Ross, ended in disaster. The moment their extraction team touched him, Michael's dormant genes activated. His body became a conduit for Watcher energy, and 3 more Vanguard ships vanished from existence. In the Vanguard High Command, panic set in. Reports flooded in from across Earth. Humans were awakening to their heritage, each activation accompanied by the appearance of Watcher Guardians. But these weren't merely protecting humanity. They were transforming them. Sarah Chen made the breakthrough in her lab, her enhanced understanding finally grasping the truth. The crystal wasn't just a power source. It was a key, designed to unlock humanity's potential at the right moment. The Vanguard's arrival had provided the catalyst. The Watchers didn't just protect us, she explained to a select group of world leaders. They chose us as their successors. We're not just their wards, we're their children. In orbit, the first Guardian addressed the Vanguard fleet directly, its message resonating through ships and minds alike. You sought to harvest what you did not understand. You hunted us, thinking our kind extinct. But we did not die. We evolved. We seeded our essence in a species of incredible potential, knowing they would one day rise to take our place. The transformation spread across Earth like a wave of awakening. Humans found themselves able to perceive higher dimensions, to manipulate energy and matter in ways that defied their former understanding of physics. But they retained their humanity, their creativity, their drive, their capacity for both love and fury. Xenfor watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically unmade by beings that straddled the line between human and watcher. Sarah Chen, now glowing with internal starlight, stood aboard his command station, having simply willed herself there. "We never wanted war," she said, Emma floating beside her like a young star. "The Watchers chose us because of our capacity for peace, for understanding, for growth. But you force our hand." The Admiral saw in her eyes the same ancient power that had haunted his species' nightmares for millennia. But there was something new there too, something uniquely human, a determination, a fierce protective instinct, and perhaps most terrifying of all, hope. "Your kind sought to harvest our world," Sarah continued, her voice resonating on multiple planes of existence. "Instead, you've awakened its guardians. We are humanity ascendant, children of Earth and heirs to the Watchers, and we will not allow you to threaten our home or our future." With a gesture, she opened a window in space-time, showing the Admiral the truth of humanity's transformation. Across Earth, humans were rising to their new potential, each awakening guided by manifested Watchers. But they weren't becoming cold, distant beings of pure energy. They remained fundamentally human, using their new powers to heal, protect, and explore. The Vanguard High Command Station began to shimmer, its very existence becoming uncertain. The time for hunter and prey had passed. A new age was dawning, and humanity would lead the way, not through conquest, but through transformation. The truth unveiled. Humanity's transformation had begun, but with it came questions that echoed across the cosmos. In the depths of the quantum dynamics laboratory, now expanded into a sprawling research complex, Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display of the galaxy. Points of light marked where ancient Watcher artifacts had been discovered, forming a pattern that had eluded humanity's understanding until now. The first Guardian materialized beside her, its form more defined than before, almost solid. "You begin to see the greater design," it said, its voice carrying the weight of eons. "The artifacts weren't randomly placed," Sarah replied, her own form shimming with internal starlight. "They're nodes in a vast network. The Watchers didn't just seed Earth with their essence, they prepared the entire galaxy for this moment." In orbit, Emma floated in the void, practicing her newly awakened abilities. At 12 years old, she represented the first of a new generation, born into a humanity that was becoming something more. The stars sang to her in frequencies that would have once been impossible for human senses to perceive. A Vanguard scout ship dropped out of hyperspace nearby, its crew expecting to find Earth vulnerable. Instead, they found Emma. She turned her gaze upon them, and in that moment, the Vanguard crew experienced something unprecedented, a sharing of consciousness. Through Emma's eyes, they saw the truth the Watchers had hidden for millennia. The images cascaded through their minds. The Watchers, ancient and powerful, discovering a terrible truth about the universe itself. A cosmic cycle of creation and destruction, with entire galaxies serving as vast incubators for consciousness. The Vanguard's ancestors had been part of the Watchers' first attempt to create successors, but they had proven too aggressive, too focused on dominion rather than understanding. Then the Watchers had found Earth, a world teeming with life and untapped potential. In humanity, they saw something unique, a species capable of both technological advancement and emotional evolution. The Watchers had recognized in human beings a capacity for growth that transcended mere physical or technological progress. The scout ship's crew emerged from the vision shaking, forever changed. Emma smiled, her form outlined against the Earth's blue curve. "Now you understand," she said. "The Watchers didn't choose us because we were perfect. They chose us because we never stopped trying to be better." Deep in the Vanguard territories, resistance to this new reality was crumbling. The truth spread from ship to ship, colony to colony. The artifacts they had sought to harvest were never meant to be weapons or power sources. They were keys, meant to unlock the next stage of galactic evolution. Sarah Chen, now leading Earth's efforts to understand their new role, made another breakthrough. The crystal in her lab wasn't just connected to the other artifacts. It was part of a vast mechanism designed to reshape the very fabric of space-time. The Watchers knew the galaxy's consciousness would need to evolve to survive the next cosmic cycle. She explained to a gathered council of human and Vanguard representatives. They couldn't achieve this evolution alone. They needed successors who could bridge the gap between physical and energy beings. They needed humanity. In the reaches of deep space, more Watcher Guardians emerged from their ancient slumber. They appeared not as conquerors or rulers, but as teachers and guides. Each Guardian carried with them memories of the galaxy's history, of the Watchers' hope for the future, and of humanity's crucial role in what was to come. The Vanguard High Command, what remained of it, faced a choice. Admiral Xenfor, his worldview shattered but his wisdom intact, made the decision that would define his species' future. "We were wrong," he announced to his fleet. "The Watchers didn't abandon the galaxy. They entrusted it to better guardians. We can either accept this new reality or fade into extinction like our own pride demands." On Earth, the transformation accelerated. Humans didn't lose their physical forms but gained the ability to shift between states of matter and energy at will. More importantly, they retained their essential humanity, their capacity for love, creativity, and growth. The Watchers had chosen well. Humanity's greatest strength was not in their potential for power, but in their ability to wield it with wisdom and compassion. Emma, floating in her observatory high above the Earth, watched as the galaxy began to change. The network of artifacts was awakening, responding to humanity's evolution. But unlike the Vanguard's fears, this awakening brought not destruction but harmony. The very fabric of space-time was being rewoven, preparing for the next great cycle of existence. "We're not just inheriting the Watcher's power," she realized, sharing her thoughts with her mother across the vast distances of space. "We're inheriting their responsibility to nurture consciousness itself, and we won't be alone." The truth had been unveiled, but it was only the beginning. Humanity stood on the threshold of a new era, not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians of a legacy greater than any species had imagined. The real question now was not what they would become, but what they would help the galaxy become. Counter-strike. Not all of the Vanguard accepted the new order. Deep in the galactic core, Supreme Commander Rekthar gathered the remnants of their once mighty fleet, 1,000 ships of crystalline darkness, each carrying warriors who refused to believe their species had been passed over for a reason. "The humans are children playing with powers they cannot comprehend," Rekthar declared to his assembled forces. "We will take what was meant to be ours. The Watchers' network will serve the Vanguard, as it should have millennia ago." But humanity was no longer the defenseless species they had first encountered. Sarah Chen, now more energy than matter, sensed their preparations through the awakened artifact network. She stood in the transformed quantum dynamics laboratory, her consciousness extended across light years. "They're going to target all the nexus points simultaneously," she informed the Earth Defense Council. "They think if they can disrupt enough nodes, they can seize control of the network before we fully understand it." Emma, who had grown into her powers with the natural adaptability of youth, suggested a response that only a human child could conceive. "Why fight them?" she asked. "Why not show them what they're really fighting against?" The plan that emerged was uniquely human in its elegance. Instead of meeting the Vanguard fleet with force, humanity would use the very network their enemies sought to control. Each artifact node became not a weapon, but a window into understanding. As Rekthar's fleet approached the first nexus point, they found no resistance. Instead, they encountered something far more devastating: truth. The nodes activated, but not as weapons. They became conduits for human consciousness, broadcasting the complete and unfiltered experience of humanity's journey. The Vanguard warriors felt Earth's history wash over them. They experienced the joy of human discovery, the pain of human loss, the unquenchable spirit that drove humans to reach for the stars even when they barely understood their own world. They felt the love between Sarah and Emma, the bonds between humans that gave them strength beyond mere physical power. Most devastatingly, they felt the Watcher's choice, not as a rejection of the Vanguard, but as recognition of what humanity could become. The artifact network wasn't a weapon to be controlled. It was a tool for nurturing consciousness itself. Rekthar, his mind reeling from the flood of human experience, watched his fleet begin to dissolve. Not through destruction, but through choice. Ship after ship powered down as their crews realized the futility of their mission. The Watchers hadn't chosen humanity because they were superior. They had chosen them because they were different. In the void between stars, Emma manifested near the Supreme Commander's vessel. Her form was a perfect blend of human and Watcher now. Starlight and flesh in harmony. "Your people weren't rejected," she said, her voice carrying across the vacuum. "You were given a different path. The Vanguard's strength will be needed for what's coming. Not as conquerors, but as partners." The artifact network pulsed with power, but not the kind the Vanguard had imagined. Instead of weapons, the nodes revealed themselves as seeds of transformation. Each one contained the combined wisdom of the Watchers and humanity's emerging potential, offering not domination but evolution. Sarah Chen, working with the First Guardian, had discovered the network's true purpose. It wasn't designed to control the galaxy, but to prepare it. The coming cosmic cycle would require all sentient species to evolve beyond their current limitations. Humanity's role was not to rule, but to guide. The Watchers didn't create a weapon, Sarah explained to Rekthar, as her consciousness joined her daughter's. They created a bridge between what life is and what it can become, between the physical and the energy realms, between all conscious beings in the galaxy. The Supreme Commander's resistance crumbled in the face of this revelation. The network came alive under humanity's touch, not with destructive force, but with transformative power. Across the galaxy, species that had lived in fear of Vanguard dominion began to experience the change. It wasn't an ending, but a beginning. Humanity's counterstrike hadn't been one of violence, but of understanding. They had defeated their enemies not by destroying them, but by showing them a greater purpose. The artifact network, fully awakened, began its true work, preparing all sentient life for the next great leap in cosmic evolution. Emma, watching the Vanguard fleet stand down, smiled with both human joy and Watcher wisdom. "We never needed to prove we were stronger," she said. "We just needed to show them we were ready to be guides instead of rulers." The galaxy trembled on the edge of transformation. But for the first time, it would face that transformation united. Humanity had turned a moment of potential conflict into one of universal growth, proving once again why the Watchers had chosen them as their successors. Legacy of Two Worlds. A decade had passed since humanity first awakened to their true nature. The Earth had changed, yet remained fundamentally the same. Cities still bustled with life, children still played in parks, but now streams of starlight danced between buildings, and humans shifted casually between physical and energy forms as easily as they once changed clothes. Emma Chen, now 22, stood in the transformed ruins of the old quantum dynamics laboratory, where everything had begun. The simple research facility had evolved into a nexus of consciousness, a place where the boundaries between dimensions had grown thin. She watched as new students, human, vanguard, and a dozen other species, learned to navigate their awakening powers. Still visiting the old haunts, Sarah materialized beside her daughter, her form simultaneously solid and ethereal. Time had only strengthened her connection to both her humanity and her Watcher heritage. "I like to remember where it started," Emma replied, "before we understood what we were becoming." Above them, the sky was alive with activity. Ships of all species moved through specially maintained corridors of normal space, while evolved beings traversed the higher dimensions directly. Earth had become the center of a new galactic society, not through conquest or technological superiority, but through its role as a bridge between what was and what could be. The first guardian, now more colleague than mentor, joined them. Its form had also changed, becoming more distinct, more individual, as if prolonged contact with humanity had given it a stronger sense of self. "The network is complete," it announced. "All nodes are fully awakened and synchronized." This was the moment they had been preparing for. The Watcher's grand design, hidden for millennia, was finally ready to serve its true purpose. But it wasn't a weapon or a tool of power. It was a cradle for consciousness itself. Deep in space, Xenthor, the former Vanguard admiral now serving as an instructor for newly awakened species, felt the network pulse with new energy. The change he had once fought against had given his people a purpose greater than conquest. The Vanguard's disciplined minds and ancient knowledge have found new expression in helping others navigate the transformation. "It's time," Sarah said, her voice carrying across both physical and energy realms. "The cycle is beginning." They had known this moment was coming. The Watchers hadn't just been preparing for humanity's evolution. They had been preparing all sentient life for a fundamental shift in the nature of reality itself. The universe was about to enter a new phase of existence, one that required consciousness to transcend its physical limitations. Emma reached out through the network, feeling the countless minds connected across the galaxy. Humans, Vanguard, and thousands of other species, all linked not in a hierarchy, but in a symphony of consciousness, each unique, each essential, each contributing their own notes to the universal song. Through the awakened nodes, they could all feel it, the approaching wave of change that would reshape the cosmos. But unlike their ancestors, who had faced such transitions with fear and destruction, this generation of sentient beings was prepared. "Show them the way," the first guardian said, its form beginning to merge with the growing light. Emma stepped forward, her consciousness expanding to touch every mind connected to the network. She had grown up straddling two worlds, the physical realm of her human birth and the energy realm of her Watcher heritage. Now she would help others find their own balance. The transformation began not with a bang, but with a ripple of understanding. Through the network, every sentient being in the galaxy experienced the truth. They were not separate entities fighting for survival, but expressions of the same cosmic consciousness, each playing their part in the universe's journey toward understanding itself. Sarah watched as her daughter guided the first waves of change. Humanity's gift had never been about power or technology. It had been about their ability to embrace change while remaining true to themselves, to evolve without losing their capacity for love, creativity, and wonder. The Vanguard's rigid hierarchy had transformed into a structure of support and guidance. Their ancient knowledge, combined with humanity's adaptability and the Watcher's wisdom, created a foundation for species across the galaxy to face the coming change not with fear, but with hope. As the universal shift began in earnest, the artifact network glowed with unprecedented power, but instead of weapons or defenses, it created bridges between dimensions, between species, between different forms of existence itself. The galaxy became a tapestry of interconnected consciousness, each thread vital to the whole. Emma stood at the heart of the transformation, her dual nature making her the perfect conductor for this cosmic symphony. "We're not ending anything," she said, her words reaching every connected mind. "We're beginning everything." The light grew, reality shifted, and the galaxy's consciousness expanded into new dimensions of existence. But unlike the catastrophic cycles of the past, this transformation was guided, purposeful, and ultimately hopeful. Humanity had fulfilled their role not as conquerors or saviors, but as bridges between what was and what could be. In the transformed quantum dynamics laboratory, where a mother's love for her daughter had once helped save humanity from extinction, Sarah Chen smiled. The Watchers had chosen well. Humanity's greatest strength had never been in their potential for power, but in their capacity to face the unknown with courage, creativity, and compassion. The legacy of two worlds, human and Watcher, had become something greater than either could have achieved alone. As the galaxy entered its new phase of existence, that legacy would light the way for countless generations to come, proving that the greatest transformations come not through force, but through understanding, not through conquest, but through connection. The story of humanity's awakening was ending, but the story of what they would help the galaxy become was just beginning.